disturbing. What they've done to our country is not even thinkable. Over the past 4 years, Kamala has orchestrated the most egregious betrayal that any leader in American history has ever inflicted upon our people. There's never been anything like this. Again, murderers, drug dealers, gang members, people from mental institutions, the worst people, criminals of all kinds. Venezuelan crime is down 72%. Our crime is through the roof. Tell David Muir he's a real stiff. What a dope. Tell David Muir that he was wrong when he said, well, American crime is down. Because I said crime is up. It's through the roof. I turned out to be right the following day. Tell David Muir our crime is through the roof, and the migrants are causing a lot of it. But she's violated her oath of office. She's eradicated our sovereign border and unleashed an army of gangs and criminal migrants from prisons and jails, from insane asylums and mental institutions. You know, when I say insane asylums and then I say Dr. Hannibal Lecter, does anybody know? They go crazy. They say, oh, he brings up these names out of, well, that's genius, right? Dr. Hannibal Lecter. There's nobody worse than him. Silence of the Lambs. Who the hell else would even remember that? I have a great memory. But they always hit me. I don't bring it up too much because I have to take such a... He brought up Hannibal Lecter. What does that have to do with this? What is it? It has everything to do with it, right? That's who we're allowing into our country. And we don't want to allow that into our country. So I've done something for you that I haven't done in 20 speeches. I brought up Dr. Hannibal Lecter, and we're allowing him in our country. You watch these fake people. They'll say, again, he brought up Hannibal Lecter. It has absolutely nothing to do. You know, I do the weave, right? The weave, it's genius. You bring up Hannibal Lecter. You mention insane asylum, Hannibal Lecter. You go out. Now, there'll be a time in life where the weave won't finish properly at the bottom. And then we can talk. But right now, it's pure genius. Hey, I have an uncle, my uncle, Uncle John, my father's brother. 41 years at MIT, longest-serving professor, has so many degrees, he didn't know what the hell to do with them all in the most complicated. I understand a lot of this stuff. You know, I believe in that. Like, I mean, Jack Nicklaus is not going to produce a bad golfer, right? You know, that's the way it works. It's just one of those things. And it's in the family, and it's whatever, but we have to save this country. We better save this country. And the biggest problem we have, one of the biggest problems is them, because if we had an honest and honorable press, my job would be so much easier. It'd be so much easier. They have forced so many good people out of politics. That's a shame. So many great people have been forced because of them. They're bad people, but they're going to get better. They've lost a lot of credibility. You know, when I first started, they had a 92% or a 93% approval rating. Now they have lower than Congress. The fake news has a lower rating than Congress. How do you get lower than that? But these criminals come from Venezuela, from the Congo, stealing countless American lives. People are coming from countries you've never heard of. 181 countries this year so far are represented. Many of these countries you've never heard of. Today I want you to hear directly from an incredible mother who I met a week ago, whose world has been totally shattered by Kamala Harris's open border. How stupid it is. Her open border. Please watch.
Sunday night, I asked her to not stay up super late because of her coming to work with me in the morning first to do her summer school. She said, okay. I told her good night and I love you. I went to bed, not realizing that that was going to be the last time I saw her.
We're best friends.
Yeah. We're going to shake it again.
I woke up to notice she wasn't in her bed. I'm in my heart trying not to lose my mind because I don't know where she is. I finally remembered her phone had a location on. and her phone was pinging just 2 minutes down the road, right behind the skate park. I start driving to the direction the phone was being pinged at, and I see a couple cop cars with lights on. I see yellow tape, and immediately my heart drops and sinks to the bottom of my stomach. My daughter's hands and ankles were both bound. She was strangled to death, left with no pants. And I know in my heart, she fought incredibly hard. She was not going down without a fight.
We begin with two men we're learning are charged with capital murder tonight, accused of killing a 12-year-old girl.
Police say these men strangled her before dumping her into that creek. Both men were in the country illegally.
Apprehended, then released by Border Patrol less than 3 weeks before Jocelyn's death. The men accused of killing Jocelyn Nungare are affiliated with the gang known for brutal violence.
Kamala Harris was in charge of immigration in our borders. If we had better border policies and not open borders and not these catch and release policies, I truly believe this all could have been prevented. Under her being vice president of this country, my daughter's life was ripped away from her. She had her entire life ahead of her.
Happy birthday, dear Jocelyn.
My daughter is 6 feet in the ground based off of policies that she allowed to keep. Kamala Harris did have one job, and she not only failed, not me, she failed my daughter. She failed Jocelyn. You know, she was only 12. President Trump reached out, gave me his sincerest condolences as not a former president, but just as a father, someone who cares. I believe Donald Trump needs to be back in office. I can at least know that my next child will be safe in this country.
Thank you very much. I mean, how sad is that? It's a couple of days old, shot a couple, everybody that's seen it. I mean, I saw very strong people. I saw some very strong he-men, very tough guys crying like hell when they read it and saw it. But you have many, many cases like that. And then you have other forms of murder, too, with guns and being run over with cars and trucks. Many, many forms of crime are being committed by very dangerous people that have been allowed to come in. Don't forget, these countries are very smart. I know almost all of the heads are very smart. They're very streetwise. They want to get their prisoners out. They don't want to take care of them. It's expensive, so expensive. They want to get the criminals off the street. They have no place to put them. But now, with the open border, as soon as it happens, I told you at meetings in North Carolina, I said if they do open border, every country from all over the world, they're going to be dropping their prisoners into this country, and they're criminals in the street. That's why the crimes are down all over the world. They're down. Think of it. They come from far away. The Congo has a rough prison system, a system that makes ours look like it's Trump International Hotel. No, it's a rough system, and they're taking them out of that system. Think of the money they save, not having to take care of somebody for 50 years or whatever it may be. And all of the countries are covered, and all of the continents are covered. 180 or 181 countries. Can you imagine that? And then you see something like what happened with Jocelyn, or what happened with Lake and Riley, what happened with so many others. Far too many to even discuss. But this was a woman I met when I got the endorsement from Border Patrol. That's when I met her. She was such a nice woman. I said, so what happened to my daughter? And I guess they came and took her out of her room or something. It's not even believable. So when you vote on Tuesday, vote in honor of Jocelyn and Lake and Riley and Rachel Morin and every American who's been stolen from us. Maybe a vote in honor of the 325,000 missing children. Think of that. Who would even believe it could be like that? 325. And they're responsible, just like they pulled the trigger of a gun, they're responsible for that. The day I take the oath of office, the migrant invasion ends and the restoration of our country begins. In Ohio, a small town of 3,000 people has just been besieged. So you have 3,000 people, and it's just been besieged by an influx of 3,000 illegal aliens from a country 6,000 miles away that doesn't speak the language and that nobody ever heard of. And the town is like, what do we do? And you know, Springfield, also in Ohio, Springfield has 50,000 people, and they dropped 30,000 people into Springfield, Ohio. Now, the hospitals are a disaster. The schools are a disaster. And on top of everything else, it's a very troubled country that they come from. Tough country, tough. But on top of everything, they don't speak the language. And the mayor's a nice man, and he wants to go and help, and he doesn't know what to do. And all he's doing is looking for interpreters. Think of it. No, you have to move them out. You have to move them out. You can't do this to our country. And this is happening all over the country, all over our country. Actually, and to a certain extent, the world. But the world doesn't let people come in like we do. We let people just come in. We're run by very stupid people. They're low IQ people, very low IQ. She is. If Kamala is reelected, every town in America will be turned into a squalid, dangerous refugee camp. That's what's happening. The United States is now an occupied country, but it will soon be an occupied country no longer. On November 5th, 2024, this will be Liberation Day in America. It's going to be Liberation. On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. I will rescue every city and town that has been invaded and conquered. These towns have been invaded and conquered, no different than a military invasion, except they don't wear uniforms. That's probably the only difference. And I would say they're probably much more violent, much more vicious. And we will put these bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of our country. We have to do that. And to expedite removals of Tren de Aragua and other savage gangs, I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to target and dismantle every migrant criminal network that's operating on American soil. Think of how far back we have to go, 1798. Who would think that? Because they ran it tough then, but sometimes you have to run it tough. And if they come back into our country, which they want to try and do, and which they'll probably be successful in doing, it's an automatic 10 years in jail with no possibility of parole. And I am hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or law enforcement officer. Have no choice. And I will immediately ban all sanctuary cities in the United States of America. Sanctuary for criminals.